I'm on a quest to find the best out-of-the-box striker fire pistol between $350 and $550. We've already looked at the SW MP9, the Canic, and the CZ P10C. Now we're looking at the Smith & Wesson MP9 2.0. Filming the intro, a failure. Wow, Smith & Wesson, that's not a really good way to start the intro. Welcome back as we continue to try to find the best out-of-the-box striker fire pistol between $350 and $550. Today we're looking at the Smith & Wesson MP9 2.0. So this appears to be the second installment of their M&P series. I know the compact version just came out. Darn me for not getting that instead of this, because I would have probably preferred that a little bit better, but I don't imagine that there's going to be very much differences between the gun. It's a striker fired 17 round 9mm pistol. I imagine that the C is going to be a 15 round 9mm pistol that's about the same size of a Glock 19. Well, today let's talk about the shootability, the reliability, and the price of this gun. And again, another failure. Same exact failure that we had in the intro. Ugh. All right, guys, here we are at 25 yards asking ourselves the question, how well does the Smith & Wesson MP9 help me be accurate and precise at 25 yards? Of course, a lot of this is going to do with the trigger and the sights. Really, it's the shooter that is accurate, not really the gun. Most guns out of the box are accurate, but how well does the trigger help reduce the probability of me reacting to the shot before the shot's taken? How well do the sights communicate to me as a shooter where the point of aim and point of impact is? So here we go, we're at 25 yards, going 15 rounds, slow fire. I'll speed it up for time's sake. And yet another malfunction. So I switched out the ammo from the first and the second to Federal. We're just having this problem over and over again. Okay, so my bad, we went to shoot the rest of the 25-yard group and you aren't with us. So neither here nor there. I'm gonna walk it out. So far, Smith & Wesson, you're not doing good in the reliability department. Now I know that other people will have different opinions because they have different experiences. I've shot 500 rounds through my Smith & Wesson and I've never had a problem, right? So here we are at 25 yards. The gun does, that's two direct bulls, it looks like, in a third right there. But the gun does help me shoot precisely and accurately at 25. I really enjoy the level of accuracy that I can get out of this gun with the trigger. After I've pressed to the pre-travel, found the wall, there's like the slight little hiccup, communicates to me well. And of course the sights are basically just point of aim, point of impact as far as the dot. I'm not gonna, they're very close to a combat sight picture. All right guys, here we are at 50 plus yards, asking ourselves the question, does the sights and the trigger of the MP9 help me shoot accurately and consistently as a shooter at 25 yards if the gun will decide it wants to work? So I threw a couple shots because I found out that I had to hold the gun slightly to the right, but the same point of aim, point of impact is about the same at 25 yards. Can't shoot, doesn't seem as though I can shoot consistently. Certainly can't shoot fast with it at 50 yards like I can the H&K or the CZ P10C, but it is what it is. Is there anything good about this silly gun? Absolutely, there are lots of wonderful things. First of all, the ergonomics of it, I love them. The gun sits pretty low in my hand. It's not as low of a bore axis as a Glock, but it's higher than an H&K or the Canic that we shot. I love that I have a place to put my thumb. I know it doesn't seem like very much, but it is perfect. It's just enough for me. I know there's a lot of companies that stipple stuff, so that's really helped out. I really like how the gun feels. I think that Smith & Wesson has done a really good job with their texturing. Of course, you can turn this little knobby and switch out the back strap. I have the small version, which is something that I really like. Ambidextrous slide release. I think that you can ambi the release to put it over here, the mag release. I don't really understand these serrations right here. I don't understand this right here. Maybe it's just to do something with the actual firearm as far as aesthetics, or I have no idea, but it doesn't have front cocking serrations, which I think it should. But the gun overall feels and fits in my hand very, very nicely. The shootability, the recoil impulse, very nice upon the gun. I do like that a lot. The triggers on these guns are actually very nice, but I do not understand this whole how strong of an angle this is. But pre-travel to the wall, got some little creep there, a little hiccup there, and then it breaks. Very, very short break. Here's my reset. Gotta find the wall again. Break. Find the wall again. Break. Now, guys, I've had students come in class with Apex triggers on these things, and they are muy bueno. Love them very much. But this is an out-of-the-box quest, not a, hey, how well can I upgrade my gun quest. Sights are kind of like, nah. You know, there's nothing really special about them. It's not that 12 o'clock hold that I want. It's more of a combat sight picture from my experience with this particular gun. Again, I'm not an expert on these things, but it's just, it is what it is. They're not glow in the dark like the CZs are, so it's kind of like just meh. Well, now that we got done with the shootability, what about the reliability of this gun? Well, as you've seen, it's camera shot. Doesn't like to work on camera. I've had about 1,500 rounds to the gun, a little over 1,500 rounds that would make it today, and I've had the same issues. I've had failure to feeds, I've had failure to ejects, and I've had stovepipes. Not due to ammo. I like to shoot reman ammo, so whenever I find an ammo issue like I did today, switch out ammo to Federal. Now it didn't work. Somebody could say, well, it's a fluke, sure, whatever. But I also teach lots of classes, so I teach about 4 or 5 classes a month. About a third of the guns that come in are Shields or Smith & Wessons, and they still have the same issue. So it's not something that's uncommon for me to see. It's not going to work. So we're going to see how it works with the Indiana dirt test, the sand test, and of course the baptism test. All right, here we are with that Indiana dirt test. Ugh. Every time I do this, you all know that I love you, right? Because this is just nasty. No gun should be treated this way. All right, let's see if this piece of crap decides it wants to work. Yes, it did. Good job. All right, well, we'll see what it does with sand. I don't know how it will do, but we'll see. Sorry I don't have my buddy Knox here to help me out today. All right, let's see if this goes after sand. Very nice. Good work. Now definitely, after these sins, we must wash the Smith & Wesson light as snow. A baptism test is fully submerging. A lot of guns just fail once they get fully submerged. But so far in our series, we've seen it. Most of the guns work pretty well, so that's a really good thing. All right, yes. Let's go upon this A zone right here, shall we? And we have a failure to feed. Not uncommon for this gun, in my experience, but and it didn't want to lock back either. That's okay. So there you have it. All right, guys. So after everything, how does the Smith & Wesson MP 2.0 rate in reliability department? Well, unfortunately, given everything, I'm gonna give it about 4 out of 10. It's pretty poor. Not only just with my experiences with the gun, but also other people's experiences upon the internet, people in class. I just see the same things over and over again, and I just have to rate it at about a 4 out of 10, meaning that it works most of the time, but it's not something I'm gonna trust my life with. Now, when we were looking at our 4 malfunctions that we had today, just alone, right, not counting the 10 that I've had before, really what it comes down to is, I'm sure you could say, you know, there was one where I had a bulge case, so reman ammo, that's why we switched out to Federal, and still we're having the same issues. Maybe an extractor issue, maybe a magazine issue. I don't really care. All I know is that the gun just doesn't work. So because of that, it gets a 4 out of 10 in the reliability department. So the trigger and the grip are probably some of the better things about the gun that I do like. The trigger I'm going to rate a 7 out of 10. And the grip I'm going to rate an 8 out of 10. I really like the ergos. I like how low the gun sits in my hand. It doesn't sit lower than a Glock, but it sits lower than an H&K or a Canik, so I do like that about the gun. But then again, the sights are just kind of, they help me, right, at 25 yards, but they don't help me at 50 for whatever reason. Maybe it's just this front sight is slightly off, or whatever it happens to be, I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna have to rate them a 6 out of 10. So if you're following along at home, put it all together, we're gonna rate the overall rating of a 6.25 out of 10. So this is the lowest rating gun that we've had so far. Guys, the shootability of the gun is really, really nice, okay? It's really fun to shoot, but if it's not gonna work and it doesn't help me get on at 50, there are things that I like about the gun, but there are things that I don't like about the gun. And given all the factors, reliability is a big thing for me. So Smith & Wesson, if you wanna send me one, and say, hey, you got a bad apple, we're gonna send you another one. Cool, I'll take one. And while you're at it, send the compact as well, because I know people are gonna ask me to do a review on the compact. So, you know, if this was a bad apple because this is a piece of crap, and you wanna send me another one, I'd be more than happy to accept it, but you gotta send me the ammo too, because I'm not gonna waste any more of my money or my ammo on that gun. Thanks. So guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this overlook review of the Smith & Wesson MP 2.0. I hope I don't make a lot of you all upset. I mean, really, it's just, again, my findings, the findings that we find in class, other people's findings on the internet. If you're just a Smith & Wesson fanboy, I'm sorry. I'm glad you got a good gun that you've put 1,000 rounds through with 0 malfunctions, right? But at the end of the day, it's about personal experience with the firearm, right? Join us next time as we look at the FN 509. Gonna be some interesting things with this gun. I'm sure you're gonna want to stay tuned for that. Hold fast, stay the course. Baret, Fawbush, out.